here.
Kelly Roberts here.
Yeah.
Justin Hubbard here.
Dan Grow here.
Kayla
Lee
Crosby.
McIntyre.
Billy
Scott
Carr.
Elliott Ramondo Corporation Counsel here with George Sanders.
Sando.
Sando.
Yeah, get it together. Nobody calls me George, man. It's only the bank.
Get
Okay,
it
is that
together, Elliot.
Is that everyone? Okay, are there any public comments?
We didn't receive anything.
Okay. Okay, the first discussion item was the grant application update.
So Kelly and Kim and Chris helped out, I believe. He was involved in it. They completed it and sent it to me. It looked really good. Everything looked like it was there. It was looked like the answers were what they're looking for, and I submitted it to the mayor. So we're just waiting to hear from that. But it looked good to me. Yep.
Was there any particulars that we should be aware of?
I don't think so. I think, like we said, it's they have some money that they're trying to give away to help commissions like this. So, the answers were pretty detailed and informative. So I don't think there should be any issues with it.
Okay. All right. Second discussion item, discussion on possible financing. There's a group.
You mean like what we could spend the money for? Is that what you're asking?
Did we have a subgroup that was going to look into financing?
Was that getting funds for the city? Getting a budget line in the city budget?
That might have been.
I don't know if any of us were on that.
I think there was talk last time about a party, maybe this, using funds. We just never met if I recall, like some kind of a festival.
Yeah, we had talked about that.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if there's a subgroup. I don't recall, but I think the way to do it is kind of like the grant. If you guys come up with ideas that you can spend money on and come up with a ballpark figure. So figure what it would cost to have, a get together downtown or at Bergman or wherever you want to have it. Or, any kind of really anything you want money to spend on, just kind of figure out a ballpark cost. And then that way we can propose it to the city and to have funding for it.
Okay, I have to go back in the notes and find out who was supposed to be on that subgroup. But I thought the subgroup was supposed to meet because the city's putting together their finance plan for next year. So we'll table that and go back and take another look at that.
Yeah, UV, I'm looking through my notes from last meeting and I don't believe anyone said they would be a part of that group. Maybe that's getting a little muddled with Kelly and I and Chris and the grant.
I think that's what happened. So I think the
Mhm.
group that was supposed to be doing the grant write-up was maybe it was intended to also be looking into cost and things like that. So I mean, if that group has already come up with the grant application, you know, could that same group meet up in this month to figure out how to, you know, allocate this money?
Or even suggest requests for the city financing.
Yeah, we can just put dollar amounts on what we put in the grant.
Perfect. I think that works.
Okay. That sounds good to me. If that subgroup would take that on and continue, so we can have something to present to the city council, that would be great.
Well, if anyone wants to join the subgroup, it was Kelly, myself, and Chris sporadically. So there's plenty of room for others if they wanted to add a little something. Correct, Kelly?
I wouldn't mind helping you guys out if you need the help. Just let me know when and go from there.
Thanks,
Okay.
Billy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, sounds good to me. We have a discussion on the JCC commencement speaker.
Kathy Young, former senator.
Is everyone aware of the situation that had taken place? And
No.
all right,
Please feel free to fill us in.
all right. Kathy Young was selected as the commencement speaker. It was a virtual commencement, and so her speech was recorded. And some of the faculty and some students had expressed discontent and just being frustrated that she was the speaker that was selected. And so our diversity, equity, and inclusion task force actually got together and made a recommendation to President's Council regarding requesting to remove her from the virtual commencement video. And the college president then sent out a subscriber email saying that she was going to remain in the video. And it said that, and I believe that this article was in the news, or the email was in the newspaper or some news report. But even though it may be painful for some, they hope that everyone can still participate in the ceremony, basically. And so there was a lot of discontent around campus that the college was refusing to be concerned about the discomfort of students, faculty, and staff. So some of the college members and then community members got together and had a peaceful gathering on Thursday while the virtual ceremony was being released online, and different people spoke, and then they had an in-person walk-up graduation on Saturday and Sunday as well. But just there was a lot of concern about the human rights issue and faculty, staff, and students not feeling as though they were being supported.
Do we know the process of how they get their speaker?
Not exactly. Things were kind of changed this year. Typically, the Alumni Association would recommend 3 or 4 alum from JCC to be the speaker. 2 years ago, the college president requested that it be open to not just JCC alum to speak. And so the Alumni Association was taken out of the process. Typically, they would recommend 3 or 4 speakers, and then the student senate would select the speaker. However, that wasn't the process that took place. There's a small commencement committee that had met, and so the Kathy Young was actually chosen to speak back in 2020, but because commencement was canceled due to COVID, they had her speak for this one.
What was the, or are we not allowed to hear that at this moment? What was the gist of the complaint?
Her voting record against LGBTQ plus a few years ago.
When it comes to her actual record, she voted against marriage equality statewide a few years ago. And then her most recent vote that had to do with this was voting against agenda, which is really similar to the Equality Act that's currently working its way through the Senate. So that's to deal with transgender individuals not being discriminated against in the workplace. So she voted against that as well. And that was the protest that a lot of the staff and student body had.
Oh, I didn't realize. So she's a politician who spoke.
She was she's a former state senator. She left office just a few years ago, and she currently works for Cornell as part of their agriculture department, I believe.
Okay, I understand.
$10. Now you go to Walmart, you're paying 15, 17 or whatever.
That's interesting. We have to think how that how we can impact that or address that. I asked the process because I thought that was an internal process, but they did not follow process this year. Is that what happened?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and the student body and faculty wasn't notified. Did you have a week, I think?
I couldn't find any formal notification before it was in the Post Journal. And yeah, I believe it was a week ahead of time.
And the announcement in the Post Journal, and this kind of jumps the gun a bit talking about my focus group, because we had a meeting for the LGBTQ focus group this week, but the announcement that came about all of this came out the same exact day as the announcements for the Pride Fest. And it'll be the first Pride Fest in Jamestown. So the organizers of that have been working for more than 2 years to try to get the first Pride Fest to happen in Jamestown. And that exact same day, what captures all the news, but an anti-LGBTQ former politician being the commencement speaker at our largest educational institution. And when it comes to what the president did, this was really one person acting against the the request of faculty and staff. They have a DEI task force that is specifically intended to address these issues when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. They said that they did not approve and that they wish that he would rescind this invitation to get a different commencement speaker. Not only did he not do that, but in the paper, he actually said that the DEI was okay with this. And that was a lie. So because I know people on that DEI and they were extremely upset when that happened. So actually, when it comes to the protest was led by a lot of the people that serve on the DEI on campus.
He very specifically said that it was done with DEI input.
And that was a lie.
Basically meant we took it and we kind of just threw it away.
Right.
So there was input, but it just was not heated at all.
Right. It's one of the slick ways that people word things when it, everyone is going to read it as they approved it when they didn't.
Very sketchy.
So
who holds them as accountable in that case?
Who?
The president made a decision. Who holds the president accountable in that case?
The board.
Huh?
The board of trustees, I believe.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
So has a complaint been sent to the board of trustees?
I'm not sure. I do know a formal complaint was submitted by one of the students against the college president regarding the situation, but I'm not sure if there was more done or anything sent to the Board of Trustees directly. And Dr. Young, the Vice President of Student Affairs, said that if our committee wanted to follow up with him or with the president directly, they would be open to conversation.
I think, I think process needs to be followed, and then we can monitor that process to see if a resolution comes. But I don't think we can dive into this until the steps have been taken. I would suggest that the next steps that the various groups will file their complaint, and so it'd be heard. And then I'd be interested in how.
With the Board of Trustees?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say the Board of Trustees is well aware of what's going on. It was it was everything, you know, in the news last week, and they had a protest that was led by their DEI and one of their longest tenured professors. You know, Greg Rabb led that protest, and not only has he been a professor there for 35 years, he was the president of our city council for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
So that Board of Trustees knows exactly what's going on.
Mr. Rabb was very vocal about it also.
Yeah.
And his discomfort with that decision.
And I'm also uncomfortable with the fact that in that email that was sent to staff, one, the president said that he knew that this would be painful for some people, but that he hopes that we can continue to attend graduation. What that's saying is that I know that my decision will cause my students harm, but I do not care. That's a problem. If we're acknowledging what this is going to do, that it's going to cause people harm, and that we're going to continue going. That's not even pleading ignorance. That's just saying this is perfectly fine to cause student harm. The other thing is that it was said in that email, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kayla, that anyone protesting would be corralled to a different section of the graduation.
It says that they would designate a protest location.
A designated protest area to avoid a dangerous situation. One, so you've already ostracized these LGBTQ individuals by having a speaker that does not value their life. So you've already ostracized them. And then if they choose to speak out, you're actually physically ostracizing them. And also it continues this narrative that people that act out in civil disobedience are inherently dangerous. That should not be coming from an educational institution. You know, these are your students. We should be teaching them that civil disobedience and speaking out politically and using, you know, your freedom of speech is inherently American, and it is not inherently dangerous.
If done properly.
Yeah.
It's just a bold and cold act.
Yeah. So I'd make a motion to meet with the president and the the associate president of head of people services, whatever. What is it, Caleb?
Vice President of Student Affairs.
There you go. I'd make a motion to meet with both of them.
I second, I move, I don't know, what do I say?
Okay. It's been moved in second. Are you ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the ayes carry, and the motion is carried. So we need to set up to have a meeting, to have a discussion with those individuals. To see if we can come with some resolution. I guess it's the board's power or ability to make changes or not. on this issue? Am I correct there?
Possibly the president reports to the board of trustees, so that's the highest power at the college.
It'd be interesting to see what the board of trustees have to say on that issue.
Kayla, could we meet with both? Could we meet with the administrators and members from the board?
I can ask.
All right.
I can send an email and find out on Monday.
Okay, that'll be our next step. And then we'll go from there. I wanted to get any updates for any exploration groups. And I'm gonna make a comment first. Anything that the exploration group is of the opinion of the group, not necessarily the opinion of the Human Rights Commission, those opinions will be investigated and looked at, and then any action taken forth will be based on that. Just because a group gives an opinion does not necessarily mean it is the human rights, but we have to respect the fact that the group may have a opinion or issue that corrals around that group. And so I say that because we've had some public comment, but you have to respect the opinion of the group. So I just wanted to make that clear first. And then if there's any updates from any exploration group, we'll receive that now.
So we met with the LGBTQ group this week. Momina and I met with them, and a lot of it was dominated by what we just talked about with the JCC commencement speaker. So I don't think we really need to revisit that. But it was, these people were very upset, especially about the fact that this was all announced the same day that Pride was announced. But I'd rather talk about Pride because a few of the organizers are in the group. So it's going to be June 12th, and it's going to be taking place alongside the public market. There's going to be safe spaces in the Winter Garden Plaza downtown. And then the public market is going to be on 3rd Street. There's a ton of stuff going on. It all starts at 9:30 in the morning and it goes all the way till 9 at night. So they're doing informational tables, yoga, Zumba, meditation, different speakers. They're going to do drag queen story time for kids.
Live music.
Yeah, there's going to be live music. There's like, it's so much stuff that it was hard for me to keep track in the notes. So June 12th, downtown from 9:30 to 9. It's all headlined by a drag performer that's, I believe, from this area, from Jamestown, Pandora Box. I think so. Kim's not.
I don't remember.
I do believe, yes. Maybe was here for a little bit. I did graduated JHS, maybe?
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and it all starts with they're doing a flag raising ceremony, I believe at Tracy Plaza that day as well. So that's June 12th. And it's very exciting. This is the first time this is happening in Jamestown. And really that is the reflection of Jamestown that the group that our focus group wanted to, really emphasize, not what happened at JCC, but the fact that we're going to have a Pride Fest here. That, for the second time in just under a year, we're going to raise the Pride flag at City Hall. So if you could attend, that'd be great. And Momina, you got some info on that as well, right?
Yeah, so we were invited by the people organizing the Pride to have an HRC booth there. And it was suggested that it would be a good way to have more kind of raise awareness about our focus, our subgroups. We could share more about that, have members, have people sign up so they can attend some of our meetings. I could do that. So just wanted to get input from everybody on what they thought and what we could, and if we wanted to do it, like what we could do.
Good. Sounds they're becoming very active.
Yeah. So is that something that we'd be willing to do, is to have a Human Rights Commission table at Pride?
And that is on a Saturday, just so you're all aware.
It is on a Saturday.
Can't, just in case you don't have a calendar in front of you.
Yeah, I think, I don't know the firmed up plans, but I believe my daughter's competition dance is maybe opening up for Pandora's box. So I would be there at that time. I'd be happy to sit at the booth during that time because I will be there for sure then.
I don't want my absence to be seen as something it's not, but I'm scheduled to do a funeral out of town that day, so I am not available.
So what I'll do, I'll talk to the organizer, and if we're able to do this, if everyone is fine, is cool with this, then I can see what exact times are needed, because I think the tables are done. Moment, did he say 5? I know they start at 9:30, but I wasn't sure when they go until.
Yeah, he made it sound like there was like 2, I don't remember, but there was 2 parts of the day. So I think it's like early afternoon is what I understood, but I don't remember.
I'll get some clarification on the exact times, because I'm gonna need to know them for the Justice Coalition, because we're gonna be there and we're gonna be giving out shirts and stuff. So I'll get the times and then I'll email everybody, and maybe we'll just do it so we can sign up for some times. And we'll have the sign up. We'll just have sheets for signing up for our focus groups. Maybe we bring a printout of the mission statement, and have conversations with people.
I think I may be able to be there the 12th. I don't see any tournaments or anything on this list, so on the weekend I may be able to help out.
We have a 5K scheduled at Jackson Taylor Park at 10 a.m. But once that gets done, I can probably come over.
I haven't heard anything officially yet, but they were talking about doing a Juneteenth celebration too. I don't know if that will conflict on that same weekend or not.
Juneteenth is going to be the next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I haven't heard.
Yeah, I know Alize, I think she went to the meeting yesterday, but she's not here. I haven't heard from her. So I know that's going to be the weekend of the 19th. I know they are looking for vendors for that festival. And I haven't really communicated with them as far as if they're looking for informational tables or anything like that. It's plausible to think we could do the same type of setup at Pride as in Juneteenth, or if we don't have that type of setup, as many people attend as possible, that'd be great.
Yeah, they usually do some kind of tables or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any other focus groups? Yes, the disability subcommittee met this week, and we had a couple of things that we walked through. There seems to be a big need for education for employers. There is a request for some employers to have some education as to what job coach does for an individual with disabilities and the benefits of hiring people with disabilities. There was an employment circumstance that was difficult for one of our members. So we had a lot of discussion about that. We also had a new person come in who is a parent of an individual who is severely mentally ill. And there was much discussion about the difficulty of family members and close supports for individuals who are not compliant and not fitting in with some of the resources that are available, and not wanting to see their loved one homeless, and not a lot of residential opportunities and things of that nature. And so there was much discussion about that. We continued to, we actually had someone report out a celebration that since the last meeting, he learned a lot of information about being able to go back to school. He thought that was not something he was able to do, given his IEP status. And since then, he has been able to gain assistance in trying to get his IEP, and is hoping to get into school in the fall to continue his education. So he was very excited to share that.
Good. Anyone else?
So I reached out to MHA about Narcan training, and talked to Allison. She was super nice. Basically, they're really flexible, and we can kind of do whatever we want. She can come to us at a meeting. We can go to MHA. We could also do it via Zoom. There's also like on your own, it's like a YouTube video that you watch and you fill something out, and then she'll drop off the Narcan. So I guess it's kind of like what everybody's comfortable with, and if we want to, how we want to try to do it, because she can literally do anything.
What if we had our next meeting at MHA and the Narcan training is part of the meeting?
That'd be cool.
I think that's a great idea.
The only thing I would think about is, I don't know how MHA works, but would it be better if they came to us so it's less of an imposition?
I don't know. One of the reasons we're doing Zoom is because we're mandated by the city, because they're still doing Zoom. So unless,
well, we can meet in person if we want. There is space at City Hall.
Yeah, we've had that. We've been able to meet in person now for, I think, the last 2 meetings, correct?
Yeah, we had one at City Hall, right? And one at the Jackson Center.
We did, but I think we were supposed to have our last meeting in person, and then that just didn't happen.
well, no, because we have to talk to the mayor. And as far as that is, so I don't know when are they going to release that or not. Reason we've been meeting Zoom is because city council's been meeting Zoom, and so we have to follow the same protocol. So I'll have to have a discussion with the mayor to see if he's ready to change some of that or not.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, this Monday's council meeting is in person. So they're not meeting Zoom on Monday.
And so was this past Mondays too.
Yeah, wasn't there an open room? That's when Mayor Sundquist was here saying that they were getting that one room ready for us. So
yes,
maybe if it's not ready for June, it would be for July. I think you're right, Momina. It would be better if they came to us. And I think a training like this really should be done in person.
Definitely.
And not a YouTube video, a YouTube video or just over Zoom, my opinion, but I would rather.
Well, and I think it also gives a great opportunity to talk to the people at MHA, because they're the ones that are, they're on the front lines when it comes to the peer-to-peer counseling and treatment when it comes to people that are dealing with substance abuse. And with what's going on in the city right now, with the amount of overdoses that we're having, I think that would be a really good conversation to have.
So refresh my memory, this training is on substance abuse, is that what
So it's,
MAHA is?
yeah, MHA is the Mental Health Association, and the training is on, it's Narcan. I don't remember what the generic name of it, but it's basically, it's a little bottle that it's like a spray, right? And if someone is like ODing, you can basically, you get trained so you can use that, and you can essentially save someone's life if they're having an overdose.
It's a reversal and rescue for somebody who is, it's for opioids, am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
That's very good. If we're discussing other training opportunities, I have a friend who teaches cultural intelligence, which is kind of a new thing. Is that something the group would be interested in? It's called CQ. It's kind of the latest thing that corporations, educational facilities are using around the world. And town halls perhaps, and so on. It would require money because you'd have to get paid, but I was just wondering.
Well, I think there was a line in the grant that said speakers, maybe, correct? They're, using that. Maybe if we heard a little more about it, Dan, and put it on the agenda for next time to discuss.
Sure.
Yeah,
Do
I'd like
that.
to get more.
If you give us some more, if you give us more information. Okay, any other groups?
So just to confirm, I should tell them to come to us at our next meeting. Yes. And can that be the first thing on the agenda that night? Just so, I don't know, I don't want anyone to have to wait
I
around.
think that's appropriate.
Yes, that could be set up.
So they'll come to us, and we're planning on doing it in person at City Hall.
Yeah, unless we want to go there. I mean, it's up to us. Just,
I mean, it's either way,
I agree with Justin that it's good conversation and it's a good resource to have with us to have a conversation, but I'm concerned about their programming and how much might have to be adjusted to accommodate us coming there. I'm open to the consideration of it, but I would think we would have to present that to them.
Yeah, I think if they're willing to go to City Hall or wherever the next meeting is, I think that would probably be the best thing, just to to have enough room, and that way we can, if they're willing to do it, then I think that's the way to do it.
Sounds good. Are there any other updates?
UV, I was just gonna bring up, if everybody's done talking about their groups, I just wanted to touch base a little bit on the overdose situation that we're having in the city. I'm assuming most of you saw in the paper and Facebook and wherever else it was released. It's a huge issue right now. Like I said, we're investigating far more this year already than all of last year. And the numbers, as far as with the Narcan, it helps a lot, but it doesn't give us a true number of how many people are overdosing and having issues with it, because they are, using it and then not calling for assistance. So it doesn't really show the true numbers as far as the calls for service, but I think when we see the actual deaths that are related and caused by it, it's a serious issue, and we're just kind of reaching out. We've had meetings. We have some planned scheduled to meet with, to see if we can come up with something to, really solve the issue, reduce the issue to start, whatever we can do. It's something that I wanted to bring up to you guys, just to, if you hadn't seen it, to look at it, read it, see what it's about, and see if anybody has, connections or any ideas of which way to go, and how we can work together to help the situation out.
I don't know what I can do, but I can tell you that I'm very passionate about it right now, because I know that people are dealing in one of our parking lots, and it's been reported to us that someone actually had an overdose on one of our steps. Someone came in, gave them Narcan, and they both went their own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like I said, the Narcan's great. It obviously it works. I mean, anybody who's been trained in it and has ever used it, I mean, I know it is amazing, but we need to, and like was said in the release, I think finding a way to stop the use to begin with, I think is obviously our major goal, or reduce it, like I said, and just how are we going to go about that and fix the problem.
So most of these overdoses are a result of fentanyl, right?
Yeah.
So is that because the fentanyl is laced, or that because these drugs are laced with fentanyl, or that because people are actually seeking out fentanyl?
It started with stuff being laced. Sometimes it is, but I don't know if the numbers were in the paper as far as the seizures, but now it's just fentanyl. People are seeking fentanyl. It's stronger. And I think a lot of people are seeking it out now. And I don't know if it has to do with, with COVID and an increase in drug use, or if it has, what it is, but, they're seeking out the stronger opioids.
And the department uses Narcan, but are there police departments around here that don't have their officers using Narcan?
Are there? I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know if there are or not.
Because I know JPD does, and I know the county sheriff's department does.
Yeah,
but
I don't know for sure. I could assume that they've been trained on it, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, because from what I can't confirm, but from what I know from some of the officers I communicate with, that Ellicott doesn't. And I think, Ellicott's kind of it's a weird municipality because it kind of surrounds.
Yeah, it surrounds Jamestown.
Yeah, so I don't know how often they would be responding to stuff. Is there any demographics of the people that you are seeing when it comes to use? Like age-wise, ethnicity-wise, gender?
No, it's
all over?
Not that, not that we've looked at, collected data on. It seems like it's a pretty wide range of ages and every gender. I mean, it affects everybody. There's no specific group that we've seen that it's affecting right now.
Okay. When it comes to the use of Narcan, so when Narcan is deployed on someone who's who has overdosed, if it is effective, then what happens?
From our standpoint, from the police department standpoint,
what's the process after that?
So they go down to the hospital on a mental health eval kind of thing. It's a 2209. Basically, it's unable to care for themselves, putting themselves in a dangerous position. They go down to the hospital, and then they have to meet with a counselor and do whatever they need to do down there.
And the counselors at UPMC.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any communication? I know that Chief Jackson serves on the board when it comes to MHA, but is there anything beyond that, like a relationship between JPD and MHA, to get the people that are suffering through these things connected with a peer advocate?
Yeah, I mean, Chief is definitely involved with it, and there are some people that we've actually been able to get some help, and unfortunately it's so often, and like I said in the statement, it's a group effort. So there are some people that we've been able to reach with it, but not all of them. That's kind of what we're looking for, as far as us, like, we can do so much, and then when it needs to be followed up on, we need to go from there.
Okay. And then I know I'm like just rattling off questions. I've been thinking about this a lot, because this has been going on in the United States for over a decade now, where we've had this real crisis, and it's just been amplified by the pandemic. But I got somebody that contacted the Justice Coalition because on Saturday, I think it'd probably be first shift, there was an overdose on the corner of Prendergast and Crossman.
Okay.
And it was in someone's basically their front yard. And this person told me that they were able to contact police. So contact an officer, but that Narcan was not deployed because the officer did not have Narcan with them.
I don't know. I guess I should say some have them and some may not if they run out. I know that we try to keep a steady supply, but I don't know if they had or not.
Okay, because if I'm thinking every officer has Narcan, but I've also heard from officers that this is happening frequently within the same shift, where they have multiple ODs in the same shift, so they could run out of their supply for that shift. So then what? So then are you just going through the rest of your shift with no Narcan, or are you?
If they can get some, if we have some on hand, then they'll have some with them, or they have to wait for the officer who's kind of in charge of receiving it to get them some more. But we usually have some around that they can use.
Okay. And then, I mean, because that to me is what's really just shocking, is the fact that you think you think you're about deploying Narcan because of an OD. You think that'd be a pretty traumatic event for any shift, and if that's happening multiple times in the same shift. So how are the officers coping with that? The fact that I think in the report it said that we've had more OD deaths so far this year than we had all of last year. So how are the officers like handling that? Because this individual that contacted me said this officer was, just kind of cold when it came to the response, and that the officer said, do you understand how many ODs happened in one shift, which was why they didn't have Narcan. So, how are the officers coping with this?
I mean, I guess I don't really hear too much from them. It's there's obviously a lot of frustration with the whole situation, and I think that's kind of why it got brought up. It's getting worse and worse, and we're trying to do more and more and more to battle it, and it's just not working. So as far as that goes, I think there's a lot of frustration, and officers just wondering like what are we going to do, or how can we do it, or what can we do to make it different.
I think it's a tough position as we trying to make the officers, the EMTs. The problem has to go back before that. One of my issues and concerns that we've been finding needles all over the city, on the steps of the church, on the neighbor's steps that has kids and things like that. We got a big problem in our city, which we need to get under control. But I think it's going to take more than just the officers trying to be EMTs and revive people. We need to go deeper than that.
We can go to the source.
Right.
As far as the drug task force, can you tell me about anything that they may be doing different and trying to get it off the streets? I know, because that's another huge issue.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say too much. I don't know, were the numbers of the siege and stuff in the paper? Was that released?
Yeah, it was a separate article.
Yeah. That, I mean, they're very busy. Our task force is extremely busy and working. There's a lot of challenges that face them with narcotics investigations, seizures, and subsequently arresting individuals. A lot of that plays into the bail reform and that kind of thing, which just makes it a little bit more difficult. The meeting that we had at the PD the other day was actually spurred by them. They requested that we have the meeting because they're trying to see what else can be done more than what they are, which I think personally is going to be very difficult for them to do more than they already are.
Thank you.
How many paramedics are there in the city that would respond to this, and how many total police officers are both overrun with the drug issue?
Yeah, every overdose call gets a response from the police department and as well as either JFD or All-Star, some emergency services that will then transport to the hospital. So they, if the officers have some and use it and it's not enough or don't have it, typically emergency services are there, fire or All-Star, and they're giving them the Narcan right away too. So everybody's affected by it.
But any given day or night, there just may not be enough officers or paramedics to respond. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
No, somebody's always going to respond.
Okay.
Somebody will always respond.
Yeah, I mean, the article right here said that the amount of fentanyl that's in the area is just increased dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, and that's really the extremely dangerous thing that's going on in this, around the city right now is the amount of fentanyl, correct?
Yes.
And I mean, it's to the point where I've talked to people down at MHA and they've said that fentanyl is that the cannabis that people are getting, the weed that people are getting is sometimes laced with fentanyl, which is wild. Which also brings attention that with cannabis legalization and the actual regulation and control of it by the state, that will actually help because we'll know that that's not laced with fentanyl, which can kill you. So, I mean, I think that that's a positive that's through that. But as far as, the seizures and things that are happening, where's the fentanyl coming from before it enters Jamestown? How does it get here?
Everywhere, all across the country. You'd probably be amazed, but it's comes from everywhere. There's comes from several different people in several different ways, and it's very hard to even track and find out exactly where it is coming from. It's a long line, but it's coming from everywhere.
Okay.
How can we become more involved?
Yeah.
I think the awareness of it, knowing that it's happening, and then finding, like Justin said, peer support. There's so many people that need it, and maybe connecting with somebody or connecting with mental health or something to see if there's a way to get more help to people. I don't know. I think that's the big question, is how do we get everybody involved and to help the situation out? But I think a big part of it is just being, understanding what's going on and understanding the issue and what's happening, and then coming up with the solution to it. and how everybody can play their part.
Because I know we're still going through COVID, but when I talked to Chief Jackson back in the fall, it was at a community meeting. Would he be open to doing some more community meetings? I know he's doing the Facebook Live. Is it Monday?
Yes. No.
It's next week.
I think it's the 24th. Yeah, is that Monday?
I think, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I believe.
So he's doing it Monday. Could we
Yes.
do some, community discussions, at church, something like that, where we can be, fairly distant still, and just focus specifically on this issue?
Yeah, I think that, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I know our church would do it in a heartbeat because we're right smack in the middle of a heavy area, and we would be happy.
And Pastor Doty, maybe that's how because sometimes when you have a community meeting that's hosted by the police department, it has a different, feel than if it's a community meeting hosted by the churches. And have, members of the department there talking about these issues, but that this is a discussion that's led by, these community institutions. I think that would be a great way to, put ourselves in this conversation. Yeah,
we'd be all in 100%.
I know there's many churches that would be all in on that, as we try to deal with people and help them to turn their lives around also. So yes, we're all very interested in that issue.
Also, I'm just listening to all this, and Justin, as you said, like Scott, when the police officers are dealing with this all night long. So, I'm coming at it as a teacher's perspective. If you're dealing with that same type of behavior all day long, that can grate on you, that can make you irritated, and you would be short, where that isn't really how you feel. But at the moment, you're like, I can't believe I have to deal with this again. I've just done this 6 other times. And so maybe the police officers need, like, who's helping them with their trauma? If you're seeing that all of the time, who's helping them? That if they're mainly males that maybe don't share their feelings. Now, this is just now my biases coming, but who's, I don't know, where's their safe place, Scott? Could we help with that also? Because I know when you are dealing with humans in your whole shift of work, you take all of that energy in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of that energy, and you can just, lose it sometimes, or else, just want to sit there and cry, or just, you're wondering, what am I doing wrong?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, like I said, that's the frustration portion, just to see like what can we do? How do we stop it? And then there's another one. So, but I think the officers are handling it pretty well. They everybody has their ways to process things. We offer all of them, a lot of different avenues to deal with it. And, from my understanding, they're kind of handling it and going from there. But we do have some things that we offer to make sure that they're all set with it. And, in case they do have issues.
I got a question.
Is there any more information on that Facebook Live meeting?
Man, I can't even remember what it was. Was it 1:00 on the 24th? I believe. And then there's, if you want to submit questions, you could submit questions that we're going to answer on the Facebook Live.
Yeah, if you could talk to Tim and see if we can start setting up some of these community meetings, contacting the churches and doing that. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Great route. I'm willing to, go to the churches to be a part of them, but if there's people that don't go to church, I'll even host a meeting outside of church. I don't know where we're gonna meet. But some people are uncomfortable in churches. It gets a little too hot in there for me. So, I think as many people as possible and have, much of the community as part of these conversations, I think that would be good.
Yep, yeah, I'll talk to him about it. And like I said, I should be there for the Facebook Live, and so we'll kind of see, we'll be able to gauge questions and ideas and stuff, and then maybe that'll help with a meeting.
And if you can let the chief know, you all just announced today, I think, that it's Mike Yazzie got hired for JPD.
Mhm.
And the fact that it was a big part of the hiring process because he is a city resident.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That was one of the big just call to actions that we had at the protests over the summer, is to increase the amount of police officers that live within city limits. And it was also one of the big call to actions to increase the amount of people of color. And the last two announcements that I saw from the police department, hired a person of color, hired someone that lives within the city. And I also believe that first officer also lives within the city. So I really think that it's great that the police department is listening to what the community is calling for, and I'm definitely want to criticize the police department when need be, but I'm also willing to praise you. So, I think that Chief Jackson is doing a really good job.
And our last 5 hires have been city residents. So
there you go. Even better than I thought.
Mike's been a rookie since Wednesday, just so you know. I have a question. How do you guys get your Narcan kits? Do you guys have to pay for them, or do they get donated?
They give them to us. I believe it. I don't want to say for sure, but I want to say Chautauqua County Mental Health gives them to us.
Okay, that was my question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Mention something really quick, because UV earlier mentioned needles and stuff, but I know that Hope Chautauqua and Prevention Works, they actually will come and give you syringe and needle kiosks for free, and they'll come and they'll empty them out once a week or a couple times a month, and you just have to apply. So it's not a bad idea for like businesses or churches or something to have a safe place to deposit those things, so they're not just kind of lying around.
You can also call the police department, and we will send an officer to pick them all up and take them. We're going to have a sharps container put into our lobby as well, but we have a lot of sharps containers. So we've had a lot of businesses that find them and I don't recommend touching them anyways. But if you find them and you want to just call, you can call and we'll come and pick them up as well.
Unfortunately, I've had to do that.
Yeah.
All right. I want.
Does is it gives people a place to put them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a trash can.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I want to adjourn this meeting because we have an executive session, a complaint to take in. So we're going to adjourn this particular part of the meeting, and so it won't be on public record.
I'm going to stop recording if you're all set.
Right. All right. Thank you.